In a convoluted federalism like ours, it is essential that provisions are made to safeguard interests of all the federating units. And so, Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which stipulates that the composition of government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity, command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in the government or any of its agencies. But when the agency established to enforce this, that's the Federal Character Commission, flagrantly abuses it, eyebrows are raised. Many Nigerians have now come out to condemn the abuses by chairman of the commission, Muhiba Dankaka, and have sent petitions against her to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, that's the ICPC. BKO, these allegations are not exactly new at this time. All year long, at least of recent, and dating back also to last year, there's been allegation after allegation leveled at the quarters of Mrs. Muhiba. What do you make of them, BKO? And interestingly, like has been rightly noted in the introduction, this is FCC, so naturally and understandably, allegations like this must stand out because it is in the Federal Character Commission that should have, ensured national unity in the country.
Yes, and the complaints against her are largely that she has constituted herself to a kind of one-man show. What she runs, yes, constitutes herself to a sole administrator of the Federal Character Commission, despite the fact that the Federal Character Commission has commissioners from different states who are meant to run the FCC along with the chief executive. If we have a situation in which decisions, big decisions concerning the FCC are to be ratified by the plenary is the biggest decision-making organ of the FCC. And if someone treats the plenary like it is not there and prepares budget without reference to the plenary that ought to look at the budget, ratify it before it gets presented to the presidency, then something is wrong. Something is wrong about that leadership style. So, and if there are spending limits, if you exceed spending limits, you have violated the Constitution. You've violated your oath of office. So we've been reading about some of the things happening in the FCC, including even the fact that the FCC itself is not aligning with the principle behind the institution of the FCC, or the Federal Character Commission, by having both the secretary and the chairman from the north
of the country. Yeah.
So if you have that situation, why would anyone be surprised if even the chairman continues to run the place like she's not responsible to anyone? The FCC chairman has no reason in the world to run the place like it belongs to her, because it does not belong to her. And it shouldn't be FCC of all places that this will be happening.
All right, BKO. GKB, where do you stand in this? Scandal after scandal, there is the talk about different educational qualifications. BKO has talked about, what they call the general rot in the FCC system. They also say that she is allegedly bypassing or disregarding appropriation that had earlier been passed by the National Assembly and a host of others. Where do you see this all leading?
Well, it's a test on the president's agenda of fighting corruption. Like Jide said, the very fact that the madam is from the north and the secretary of the FCC is also from the north, already stained this particular administration. I'm talking about the administration that runs the FCC. And you think that it's an administration like this, under a cloud of not reflecting federal character, that will go out of its way to reflect federal character, knowing fully well that a particular schism was created by appointing both the chairman and the secretary from the north. And you just assume that the woman and the other persons will come on board and go out of their way to ensure that the federal character principles are obeyed to the letter. But they are the very one now entrenching that very problem that they are supposed to solve. It's like a policeman turning himself to an armed robber. The job of Federal Character Committee, that's why they have commissioners from every state. These commissioners' jobs are basically to ensure that their states are not changed.
Let me bring in at this time now the Federal Character Commission's Commissioner for Zamfara State, Mr. Garba Sani. Welcome to Journalist Hangout this Sunday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So what do you make of this scandal, or this series of scandals brewing in the FCC, as particularly on the person of Madam Chairperson?
Yeah, you see, when we got appointed and sworn in on the 2nd of July 2020, we got inaugurated on the same day, and we had this introduction of members. We introduced ourselves. So when I saw the type of people we are on the board of the commission, I felt, yes, this is where to work and make Nigeria move forward. But when we are going on now, we know that we have all the books, we have the Constitution, we have the Establishment Act, we have the rules that we have to follow in order to make that commission work. But just of a sudden, the chairman now said, no, what we are going to do is we have to make some committees so that we can audit some MDAs. I hope you understand that the committee should be set up 6 committees, and 6 committees were set up to audit particular MDAs, 48 MDAs. And all these MDAs are big MDAs like LNPC, like NIMASA, like many of them. So some who are against that kind of thing, we said no. But then we let us look at the rules and follow the rules and regulations. Let us form proper committees. We have what we call operational committees, like 6 or 7 or 24, whatever. So we work on them. We know the number of MDAs we have in the country. We divide them sectorially so that we can continue what we come to do here. But Madam and whatever refused to understand all these things. So like on the creation of this audit committee on the 7th of August, she told us that she wants to know what is happening in this MDA. Now, just as a sudden, again, the chairman called us and dissolved that committee, and she took over everything. So we got confused. At a point, we all got together, all the commissioners except 2. We sat down, we wrote to her that, look, madam, let's come and sit down and do the right thing. Let's follow the rules, let's follow the laws, we have the Constitution, we have the Act. Let's see what the Act said about this. She said, no, we have to do the. So at the end of the day, Madam also created another committee, now the operational committee of 2 people. Now, like say, I will be the chairman of a particular committee. Now, somebody from the south will be the deputy of that committee. And I will be the chairman of the deputy of another committee, and he will be the chairman of that committee. So, committee of 2. So, she created this 7 committee. We start complaining. Say, look, madam, this is not how to do this thing. That follows the rules. She said, no. So, it was at that point that some of us now tried to align with her, and that's at the point that she got this employment of people from outside to come and work on behalf of the commissioners. So we had to complain to everybody. We complained to the presidency, we complained to the ICPC, we complained to the Senate, we complained to the State Assembly, but nothing has been done till now. Now, believe me, if I can tell you that right now in Zamfara State, I have a lot of problems in terms of employment because I don't know what is happening there. I don't know what is going on. There is nothing going on. Even the committee she formed now, she's the one who will tell you, you are the chairman of that committee, but you wouldn't know the time she will tell somebody to go and work on that committee. So this is the kind of thing we are.
Mr. Sani, that said, sorry for the interruption, but that said, so there's an ICPC petition against Miss Mohiba. So I don't know, where do you stand in this? I take it that you are among the commissioners who are not happy with her operations.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
What can you say about that petition?
Integrity group. Yes, I'm among them.
All right, tell us about that petition then, and what you hope to come out of it.
You see, what we wanted the ICPC to do is to come in and investigate and find out the way the rules are being violated. But they didn't do that. So there was a time they organized a seminar, a workshop for us. We went to Nasarawa. The ICPC organized that seminar. That they told us point blank that rules must be followed. Rules must be followed. The chief executive of the ICPC was there. He told us. But when we come back, the chairman refused to abide by whatever we discussed at that seminar. So this is the situation. And also we had a retreat in Owerri, I could remember. And we had a communique. In that communique, we all agreed that rules of law must be abided by. She signed that communique, and the secretary of that workshop signed that communique. But when we came back, Madam said no. She's not going to abide by that. That she is the chief executive. She can do whatever she wants to do. And even there was a time when she was holding some MBA with around 48. That she said no, she's holding them because of some instructions she got from the dealer or from where that is because of security reasons. She said that. So what kind of operation are we having in that SUC? So this is the problem we are facing. So something must be done in order to correct this situation, because I believe that SPC is a mini Nigeria. It's a mini Nigeria. We have 7 commissioners, including Abuja, plus the chairman. Nobody is saying that she's not the chief executive. She is the chief executive. So as for me, I don't even want to talk about spending. Let us spend whatever she wants to spend. Let us spend whatever she wants. It's between her and the government. But what we are saying here is we have to follow the rule of law. We have to know the nominal role. We have to know the character balancing index so that I can help my people in Zamfara State to get them wherever it exists.
What are the implications of bypassing the plenary, which is the big decision-making organ of FCC?
You know, the implication is that there is no policy at all. No, nothing. Look, that plenary, she called plenary at will, the way she wanted, and it would just point. Look, we have a committee rules that the chief whip must stay for 1 year. After 1 year, we have to appoint another one from another section of the country. Now, when I brought up that issue, one of her people just stood up and said, no, those laws are not working now. You understand what I'm saying? He said those laws, the book is not functioning anymore in SCPC. So I got confused. I said, but you gave us this book to read, and it's through this book that the chief will check, and it's through this book that the chief will go out and you appoint another problem. So there is no plenary to me. There is no plenary at all. Nothing.
Honorable, is there a timeline for this petition that was forwarded to ICPC? Because from what you said, it's obvious this thing has been going on for a while.
No, you see, this ICPC, it was from the beginning we sent that petition. It's from the beginning. From the beginning of our tenure. That's the time, because when we saw a lot of problems, we said, no, we have to, and it's all of us. before. But now, some of them thought of us say, no, they are going to follow whatever she gets irrespective. I say, yes, I agree with you. What of the laws? What of the rules? Why don't you follow the rules? Forget about budget or whatever. Budget, well, when the time comes, she will explain that budget. She will explain that expenditure she makes. Already now, she's constructing a lift for her alone in our main office. A lift. Who cares about the lift? She's renovating the whole headquarters. Who said you should do that? Without our knowledge, without anything, she's doing whatever she wants to do. But like I said, money to me is but the problem is let's follow the rules, let's know the nominal role, the CBI and whatever, so that I can make myself move forward. So that all commissioners will make that step move forward in terms of employment and the infrastructure.
The fourth and back movement regarding the vexed issue of the direct primaries for political parties provided by the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is getting frenzier. Some civil society organizations under the urges of the civil society partners on electoral reforms have disputed the 500 billion naira estimated cost to organize direct primaries for political parties, describing it as a hoax. The group, through its executive director Ayodari Atoye, argued that it would cost the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) far less to organize direct primaries for 18 political parties. They urged President Muhammadu Buhari to ignore the propaganda and sign the bill into law. Today, I saw the spokesman of the president today, Femi Adesina, the special advisor on media, today, and trying to justify why the president is yet, that the president would not be rushed to sign that amendment bill. That is the same set of people that were agitating 4 years ago for the president to sign. And the president saw a lot of inconsistencies in that amendment bill, and that is why he ended up not signing. That he is not saying that the president will not sign this one, but what he's saying is that they have enough time. Before that time, the former one, they didn't have enough time to go through the documents and everything. But right now, they have enough time to study the document very well. And the president, in the interest of Nigeria, at the end of the day, might just look at it and decide to sign or not to sign. It is his prerogative.
Well, you should have asked Femi Adesina to mention the inconsistencies that the president saw, because that was not the reason that the president gave. These people have come to see us as people with a very short memory. You know, the president said it was too close to the election. That was the excuse that they gave. It was too close to the election, not that there were inconsistencies. That electoral bill, there were public hearings that INEC itself was part of before they came up with it. So it's not a question of, oh, some people just put together a body of...
And all stakeholders.
All stakeholders were involved. Go back and check. INEC attended the public hearings. Civil society organizations were there. It took a long while to come up with that thing that the president dilly-dallied, and ultimately refused to sign. In this case, INEC is said to have even replied the president's letter, because he said the president consulted INEC on the matter. And INEC is said to have replied the president's matter in positive fashion.
That we can do it.
Yes, which is a way of encouraging the president to go ahead and sign.
Even
now,
Okoye was talking about coppers being deployed to assist.
Yes.
To help the manpower for INEC for this primary.
Yes, INEC was the first to complain that this would be a big manpower challenge, this and that. But the same INEC came out to say it could use youth corps members for it, you know, which should make conducting the primaries relatively cheaper, much cheaper. Now, and that's what these guys are saying, the CSOs. They are saying that for the 8,809 wards in our country, at 30,000 each for 17,000 628 NYC members participating in the 5 primaries of 18 political parties, it will cost maximum of 47 billion. How much do we really pay core members for this
ad hoc jobs?
And another thing, another point that they are making is parties can merge their primaries.
Yes.
We are a very wasteful country. I'm telling you, with technology, if we deploy technology appropriately, we can do all of this, our elections in one day. So the people who have come up with propaganda against direct primaries, which in my view remains the most participatory form of picking candidates of parties. They are the ones coming up with the fact that it will cost 500 billion, this and that, and they are pushing that argument. I was even disappointed when the House of Reps called INEC, and they were saying that if it is necessary, that they will approve a loan of 500 billion to cover the cost of conducting primaries. You should be more creative than actually thinking of loan, as if they take loans well for us. Everything loan, everything. And what people don't realize is that there are
Because you don't have the money, yeah.
There are implications for taking loans. Yeah. You must pay back. There are implications.
The government is making it
you
to
see
sound
a
as
state,
if...
You see a state like Ogun State, they can't fix roads.
No, they can't.
They can't. Because the cost of servicing loans that they inherited is hooking them around here.
All the satellite towns.
You know?
Ogun State.
Davido will say he choke. He's choking them. He choke. He's choking them. They can't fix roads. In fact, one of the commissioners said, whatever you people say, money that is not there cannot be invented. INEC does not need to print materials.
No.
The parties will print. INEC's job is simply to supervise. To monitor, not even supervise, just monitor. You are there, okay, who has won? You can see the whole process. And then the result. INEC, because printing of ballot materials costs INEC a fortune. Because of all of those security features, security features that they put on them. Because of
print it abroad.
These wayward politicians who
because if you leave it for the political party to print it, people will come out with their own.
So now, you don't need to print the material. It's still the parties who are organizing, and the parties will print those things. Your own is simply to observe. And if you put core members there to observe, at the end of the day, the result is ready. They give them the results. And it's not every political party in Nigeria that will be ready to even do. They think that all of those parties, those parties, some of them are not present in some areas.
Honestly,
they have no presence of any sort.
Out of over 120,000 polling units in the country, hardly will you find their agents in two-third.
Yes.
These 18 political parties, apart from
projection, INEC will not be able to spend all of this money. I agree with these civil society guys that look, maximum 47 billion.
Okay.
47 billion.
Emeka, what do you make of this?
I find it ridiculous and disingenuous, because we are at a point where we should get more serious about making our country work. We just, we seem to find ways to deepen our fault lines, to make things not to work well, because some people stand to benefit from such. How about, okay, let's say for a state like Lagos, what is the farthest point in Lagos from anywhere to anywhere in Lagos? You can actually bring the primaries of a number of local governments to the stadium at Surulere. Bring people there. Within a few, you arrange them. Because this kind of politics we saw now growing up in the days of UPN, NPP and all of that. Were we borrowing money to, were the electoral body, FEDECO of the 80s,
Whiskey
and all that?
That one won't work. If it is a long ward if they are conducting primaries at ward level,
What by what?
No, what I'm saying is that
they cannot even travel outside of the ward.
But within a certain area, you can put people. I'm just talking about the stadium. You have youth centers.
The way it can work is maybe in a ward. In a ward, for example.
You gather people together.
The parties can be localized in one area.
Yes. Okay. You bring them together.
Come together, maybe the local government office.
Yes, which will mean that the INEC staff will not be dispersed across the world.
No.
They'll just allocate time for each
of the
political
That's what I was saying, for instance, in a place like Lagos. All INEC needs to do is actually, like Jide said, monitor and ensure, okay, the results are out. There should be more scientific ways of dealing with our problems than just following the basic path. We can cut down a lot of these things. Lagos has built a lot of youth centers everywhere, recreational centers everywhere. So you can hold these primaries here and there and make sure that within a few hours, everything is done and dusted. So borrowing money is out of the question, should be out of the question, totally out of the question. And then the National Assembly should ask themselves, when will we get to the end point of all this borrowing? Because our currency is not doing well, the Naira is not doing well, the economy is not doing well.
I don't want us to deviate from the subject matter.
You know why I'm asking that question? We are talking of loan for primaries. We will talk of loan for elections.
I see that's the
Maybe we'll talk of loan for inauguration. Come on, we are choking our people.
Honestly,
it shouldn't have been
We are
suggested.
choking our people.
But they were desperate. Those federal lawmakers were desperate. They know why they want this thing. They know that their political future is on
tied to it.
I know politics is about interest, but
so whatever will make primaries to be direct is what they were ready to do.
Thank you for staying with us. The desperate situation which we find ourselves in the face of worsening banditry requires that we apply desperate measures to quell it. In this regard, the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, has met with President of Niger Republic, Mohamed Bazoum. The two leaders discussed border security patrol aimed at checking banditry, kidnapping, and cattle rustling in the Maradi region and part of Zamfara State, Katsina, and Sokoto states. Meanwhile, bandits abduct 20 villagers in Wano local government area of Sokoto State after simultaneous attacks on Sunday night. Babajide, I'm looking at Sokoto now. Let's start with Sokoto State. I think Governor Tambuwa went to the villa the other day to take an audience with Mr. President, and the dimension in which Sokoto State crept into the list of states very ravaged by banditry. Now it's coming from behind that every day. There's no peace in Sokoto State again.
Yes, it's not as if bandits had not been attacking Sokoto. Bandits have been attacking Sokoto for years. Even the brother of the former governor, Atairu Bafarawa, remember, he was picked up in Issa local government, which is the local government of the former governor. Bandits had always attacked Sokoto, but the frequency of attack is what now bothers everyone. Because back then, you could talk about a few local governments. This Wuno local government, for example, was not one of those local governments being harassed. Local government like Tureta, Sabon-Brini, Issa lies along the border with Niger Republic, and that's the local government of Atahiru Bafarawa. They had always been attacked by bandits. But the moment the military operation in Zamfara began, we then saw a major bandit leader, Bello Turuji, moving into parts of, because he was in control of Zurumi in Zamfara, and the communities close to Zurmi local government, in Sokoto, all of those places, he was in control. But the moment they began to shell his positions in Zamfara, he then moved into Sokoto State and began to operate from Goroyo local government and other local governments along the border with Niger Republic. The reason he opted to go to those areas was because after the decision to stop telco services, he knew that from Niger Republic, he could use Niger's telco services to communicate with his men still in Nigerian territory and then be able to negotiate for ransom and all that. So with that, he could communicate right from inside, Nigerian territory by using the telco services of Niger Republic. You know? So that's why he felt at that place was better for him to stay there. And he has stayed there and he's been committing havoc now for months. Since that attack began, he's been committing havoc. Now, Sokoto is bearing a huge brunt of these attacks because it now appears that the dominant bandit leader in that area has relocated to Sokoto State. This is what is happening. Bello Turji has moved into Sokoto territory, and that is why Sokoto is now much more in the news, and Sokoto people are now being killed more than before. Not that they were ever left alone, no. But they are facing greater attack now because the Bello Turji, the bandit leader, has moved into Sokoto territory. So we've got to find a way to solve the problem. This kind of meeting that the governor of Zamfara had with the leader of Niger, it's not new. The governor of Katsina has done that in the past. In fact, he met with the military leaders from Niger Republic, but it didn't solve the problem because Niger too has its own problem. Niger, a good part of Niger Republic is what you called ungoverned spaces. It is more or less like a semi-failed state as we speak. Militants and Islamist fighters from Mali, the Tuaregs, they are coming into Niger Republic and causing so much problem. Some of them now are already joining the bandits in our country because of the proximity. So a country that by itself cannot manage its own security sufficiently, we cannot rely on them for we have had this kind of meetings. If you ask the governor of Sokoto State, he met with even the military leaders. But we didn't achieve.
We don't even have the financial wherewithal.
Recently, the governor of Sokoto too even traveled there. We showed it here. So we have to look for an homegrown solution. It is from within our country that we can solve that problem. Niger can hardly save us because they too can't stop the influx of militants from Mali and Burkina Faso into Niger Republic.
How do you get homegrown solution apart from the military campaign?
It's still in the area of intelligence gathering. That's the truth of the matter. It's in, like Babajide Otoju said, Niger is having its own problem. I remember that around this time last year, a particular village in Niger, 60% of that village was sacked by ISWAP. Some of them even died while they were trying to escape, they were trying to swim. People that were not killed by ISWAP drowned. So, we need... Exactly, we've been saying it.
Niger the Diffa prefecture area.
Niger is having its own problem. However, I think that the idea of having a collaborative engagement among between the countries is not too bad. Because if you look at what Matawale told the president of Niger, said, okay, we'll supply you patrol vehicles and all of that. Now, if we can successfully patrol that border area, it can even check the influx of weapons, because these weapons come from somewhere, you know. But it is not something that we have to leave to Niger Republic. It's not something we have to leave to Niger Republic. We have to find ways to deal with this in our own way.
The long-standing tussle between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and the federal government is about to be resurrected. ASUU is accusing government of trying to force university lecturers to embark on a fresh strike by refusing to implement the memorandum of action it signed with the union in December 2020. The lecturers call it a deliberate attempt at impoverishing them. Jide, what do they mean by this?
Yeah, the 2009 agreement reached between ASUU and the government of Goodluck Jonathan at that time was meant to be periodically reviewed. Yaradua Jonathan regime was meant to be periodically reviewed. But as we speak, university lecturers are earning the same salary since 2009.
Since 2009?
Yes.
Especially professors?
Yes. They are, and what has even worsened matters is the IPPIS thing. Because the IPPIS came with all kinds of deductions. No lecturer can get up on a particular day and say, I'm sure this is what I'll earn this month.
Deducting the poor salary
illegal deductions and all that.
Inflation has overtaken.
University professors, those of them who have done 10 to 15 years as professors, no one, as things stand now, earns more than 400,000 a salary.
400,000 naira.
Yes. And you know, when they go to private universities, they get paid much higher than that. So the whole idea of negotiating that 2009 agreement is to ensure that, okay, after a while, if we think that the salary that we are earning is no longer consistent with present-day realities in terms of inflation and all that, then we can review from time to time. There was allowance provided for that periodic review, but we refused to get into any form of review with these guys. Now, when they were going to suspend their strike in December 2020, because they suspended, they didn't call it off. There's a difference between calling off a strike and suspending a strike. When you suspend the strike, it means that you do not need to give government any notification before resuming it. So before ASUU decided to suspend that strike in December last year, it was agreed that they will renegotiate that 2009 agreement, and government then suggested on its own that Professor Musalin Jibrin, who used to head the NUC, will head that committee from the side of government. Musalin Jibrin then sat with union leaders and then came up with a review. After that, government simply refused to implement the agreement reached between the Musalin Jibrin committee and ASUU leaders. So Musalin said, see, we have done our job. Hold the Accountant General or the Federation, hold the Finance Minister and the Minister of Labor responsible. I have done my own bit. Now the question is, what is holding? If you set up a committee with a goal in mind, you set up, nobody put a gun to your neck to set up that committee. The committee then finished its work. You then decided to not take action. So what they are doing amounts to provocation. Just simply provoking these guys. And I'm saying that, look, if there are two things that if government would do it at this time, I can bet you that strike will not happen. The UTAS, which is ASUU's response to IPPIS, you are the one who suggested to them that they should come up with their own app that could get the job done. They came up,
their purpose.
Yes, we came up with their own software that could do that job that the IPPIS does, with people not happy with IPPIS, because IPPIS is not flexible. Now, after doing all that, and you had a look at it, there was random sampling and all that, and everyone came to the conclusion that this UTAS is good. You then again refused to allow them to use it. You are insisting on continuing with IPPIS. I mean, you just, it's like just simply provoking people. And I tell you, if they would allow UTAS to happen and implement Musa Linjibri's recommendations, these people will not go on strike.
Mujid, when you want to look at you can't really plan with this public university again. It's safer for anybody to say, oh, let my son or daughter go to the the private university, and you can say 4 years. It's difficult these days so it shows the level of inconsistency.
Any student will be lucky to spend 6 years on a 4-year course in a Nigerian state-owned university. A student will be lucky.
ASUU affiliated university.
Yes, to spend 4 years in to spend 6 years for a 4-year program. Now, the UTAS is supposed to be the university's transparency and accountability solution, which is supposed to take over from the integrated payment platform, the IPPIS. Now, the university system first came up with CONUAS under the 2009 agreement, which is the consolidated university's academic staff salary system. Now, when IPPIS came, they discovered that, just like Jide said, it could not, because there are they need some research grants that comes in from other donors. I mean, federal government is saying that all these grants should go into IPPIS. I mean, how do you now get it out? The process of getting it out, I mean, a lot of things, yes, under the TSA. So now they came out with their own UTAS. And now, after they came out with this UTAS about 6 months ago, you now again subjected it to NITDA, that NITDA should go and test it. Now NITDA is saying that after some samplings, it has met 50% of that desired effect. You know, but I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because just last week, the federal government released the sum of 55.5 billion.
That money is said to be in CBN.
No, it's now on its way to the universities now. But then it's divided.
You have to go
it's divided into two. There is the 30 out of the 25 is revitalization fund, which is meant to rehabilitate and do some structural stuff, infrastructural upliftment in the universities. While 22.5 billion, 25.5 billion is actually the end academic allowance, which is supposed to augment the lack of increment in their salaries since 2009. So, but the 25.5 billion, according to ASUU now, it's a paltry sum, because if you're expecting 180 billion, for example, and you are getting 25, I mean, you can imagine the backlog since 2009 till date. So that's why ASUU is saying that, deliberately, federal government is trying to frustrate it, to look bad, and then to get its own way. So, but the 25.5 billion, according to ASUU now, it's a paltry sum, because if you're expecting 180 billion, for example, and you are getting 25, I mean, you can imagine the backlog since 2009 till date. So that's why ASUU is saying that, deliberately, federal government is trying to frustrate it, to look bad, in the eyes of Nigerians. In a country where the Attorney General of the Federation is pushing to pay 480 billion to an individual, ASUU and the federal government has been negotiating with ASUU over how much. I mean, education is very key to the bedrock of whatever development we are going to make. And you are treating ASUU, I mean, you are pushing them. Now, these are professors, these are the guys who even taught most of you guys in school. So it's unfortunate that we can be treating our academics with kid globes. Now we keep comparing Nigerian universities to Ghanaian universities that, I mean, Ghanaian universities are offering better stuff. Apart from the fact that you don't want to compare the salaries earned by Ghanaian lecturers to that of Nigerian lecturers.
Between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, over flight slots seems to be coming to an end. The UAE authorities have given Air Peace 7 flight slots to Dubai. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has also removed Nigeria and 11 other African countries from its travel red list as a result of Omicron variant of COVID-19. I don't know what happened. Let's talk about this UAE.
Yeah, there's something you call reciprocity in diplomatic terms. You dagger me, I dagger you back. Now, Emirates Airlines was flying 21 frequencies into Nigeria, 14 in Lagos and 7 in Abuja. And that's 2 flights. That's two flights a day to Lagos and 1 flight a day to Abuja. So you have one that arrives Nigeria 12 noon. I mean, arrives Lagos 12 noon. That's Emirates, and one arrives same Lagos 4 o'clock. So 2 flights every day to Lagos, making 14 a week. Then every day 1 to Abuja. That's 21. Now you give Air Peace 3 slots. And as if that's not bad enough, you didn't allow Air Peace to land in Dubai. They have to go and land in Sharjah. Sharjah is like from Lagos to Ibadan. So it's like if somebody flying into Nigeria, you go and land in Ibadan. And you now maybe commute to Lagos, where we are, because Lagos. So now the Nigerian government said, I must say kudos to Hadi Sirika on this. He said, you must increase the frequency of Air Peace to at least 7 and allow them to land in Dubai. So they have acceded to the 2. They have written Air Peace now that, yes, Air Peace, you can land in Dubai now and not in Sharjah. And even that of Emirates has been reduced from 21 to 14. So 1 flight into Lagos and 1 flight into Abuja. I mean, at least for the time being. I mean, which is, I would say they still have an edge, but then Air Peace too must live up to that billing. There must be no disappointments. There must be no cancellation of flights. They must make sure that they live. There must be no inconsistencies, because these are some of the things the Emirates authorities, the Dubai authorities cited, that when you give them this number of frequencies, they don't meet up to it at times and stuff like that. But as we have it today, and it's a very good development from the Nigerian authorities, and which has also translated to our being allowed into London too.
Okay, what happened to the United Kingdom? Why the change of mind? Because I saw pictures of the so-called quarantine people that were quarantined in the UK after they have paid over £2,000 and what they were giving them, and the hotel there was a fire alarm, so they had to come out, and I saw the kind of treatments they gave them. So what made the United Kingdom actually back down?
No, I think the Nigerian authorities, although Nigeria was not the only country affected, but the Nigerian authorities said they were going to hold on. They didn't really implement the reciprocity against the UK.
Okay.
They said they will wait, and during that period, they were interfacing with them. You got to give credit to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation. We didn't enforce it. We announced that we would do it, but we said we will wait. So while we waited, we allowed for diplomatic channels to be activated to see whether there will be need to do this reciprocity, or those guys will change their minds before, so that there won't be any need for us to retaliate. And that was what happened. And that was why I'm saying that we've got to give credit to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, because yes, Adisrika took his own decision, but we were all stunned at the extent to which the Dubai authorities went by saying, because you may not fly Emirates but get into their country.
Yeah.
They now said, okay,
Anybody carrying
carrying any Nigerian,
that
and
was
it
at
was
that time.
embarrassing.
But they denied that statement.
It was embarrassing that the even Nigerians, because of the uncertainty about it, Nigerians were stopped from boarding this Ethiopia Airlines. So it was embarrassing. Now the two countries are friends. We've done a lot of good things together. So it's not in all cases that you must resort to war. For 9 months, Emirates could not fly into Nigeria because of a long-standing dispute with the Nigerian authorities over punitive, what our government saw as punitive extra tests for our people. Now, after the 9 months, and everyone felt that this whole thing had ended, then this one happened again. So the diplomatic channels that were opened allowed for continuous engagement, and the continuous engagement has yielded dividends. Look, Nigerians take a lot of money into Dubai. They are the ones who will lose the most, because how many Emirati people come into Nigeria to do business? You know, but our people go there for medical tourism and the rest. So at the end of the day,
destination.
Yes, at the end of the day,
Tourism,
reason prevailed. And we have seen now that sometimes you don't need to take extreme actions to achieve results. And I'm happy that we merely just announced to the Britons that, look, this is what we would do. We never had to do it before they changed their minds.